Good morning, Toggaz, and welcome to this game week review video. And it's been a while, so it got us thinking, what does it take to be the best player in a game week? And I thought, right, it's probably about time I share some of my pearls of wisdom from being your current champion, your current treble winner, on what it takes to be the best player, not just of the week, of the whole season. So I'm going to share a few bits of my pearls of wisdom, what I've learned on the way. And it's not so much a formula of what works I've discovered, it's maybe a formula of what not to mix together to make it a disaster and be a bottom of the league at like tin or STP come the end of the season. And it's a bit like, don't mix electricity with water, don't mix a butt plug with anthrax. Basically, do not mix excessive amounts of alcohol with Toggaz. It just doesn't work. It never bodes well. And this weekend is a prime example. I've stayed off the sauce all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and look at the results. It's been fantastic. So my first pearl of wisdom for you boys is do not mix alcohol with Toggaz. And I'm going to dedicate the rest of my game week review on what works and what doesn't work to be a Suck Sess in Toggaz. So let's see. So lads, we'll continue this review to a very special and holy place. Let me give you a history lesson. This is where 5,000 years ago, the last of the old burned Toggaz witches, they were put and they were burned at the stake here in what is known as hell. It is Sunderland. And what they did is, for being so shit at Toggaz, they brought them up on this hill in the worst place on earth and they burned them at the stakes. So I thought I'm going to give you a little history lesson and talk you through. And what it was very similar to our scenario. There was an 8-man league. But at this point, there was a lot of women like Steve the Perv's missus who were doing the leagues for them. And for being so shit, the 7 lads who didn't win the league all got burned. So let us introduce you to who it was. So first round, this old witch was called Mrs. 10 Toes. And the reason they burned her was because she didn't actually have 10 toes. She had 1,000 toes. So 1,000 toes was stuffed into her shoes. And not only was that the only reason she was burned, it was because she finished bottom of the league, Mrs. 10 Toes. They put a flame up at Jaxie and up she went in flames, and of all places, Sunderland. And then moving on, we had Mrs. Tupac Shakur. Mrs. Tupac Shakur was Mrs. 10 Toes' partner in crime. They used to finger each other's anuses every single night, and lo and behold, they got caught. She was also dog shit. 2 dog shitters were the first to get burned. Another light out went up, Mrs. Tupac Shakur's colon. Away she went, just like that, gone. Which brings us on to number 3. Number 3 was Mrs. Colo. Now Mrs. Colo had done 2 seasons of being real dog shit as well, and she tried and she tried and she tried on getting good, but she was just so pap. She was nicknamed Nikki Papavasalou. So what they did is they got a load of wood, a load of flames, and they pissed all over the wood, and then whoosh, Colo went up like that. Mrs. Colo up in flames in Sunderland. Literally the crowd started coming round like, what's this going on? There's 3 witches on the stake, which then brings us on to number 4. Number 4 we had here, and it was Mrs. STP, and they called Mrs. STP Mrs. Coot because even though she was a woman, she was bald as a coot. And everyone thought, well, a woman, if she's bald, and she must be a witch. And on top of being a witch, she was the worst in Toggaz. She was a fellow bottom of the league, like Mrs. 10 Toes over there. So the 4th witch, the flames went on, the petroleum went on, and whoosh! Mrs. Coot, aka Mrs. STP, was also up in flames. There's 4 flamers now. So then what did they do? They ran out of space. So they came over here, and they had a few newcomers now. You see, first season virgins. These witches were virgins. You can see they were a little bit smaller. This one was called Mrs. Phelps. Not Mrs. Phelps. Bless her con socks. She had so much crack crack. It was spilling out her ears, out her nose, out her anus, out her vagina. There was just crack spilling out every single crack. But unfortunately, although Mrs. Phelps had lots of crack, she was really, and I mean really shit at Toggaz. She just didn't grasp it. She was playing subs, even though, you know, they were off on holiday, just didn't really get the crack. So unfortunately, although the crowd booed, Flames was up the anus and away we go. Which brings us on to Toggaz player number 6. Now, Mrs. Duracell here, I tell you, she battled hard all season, she did. Everyone wrote her off for being real shit at the start of the season after getting beat off Toggaz Saviour, but she put a real good run together and she was in second position at one point in the league. She nearly got away without being burned. And Mrs. Dura was also a butcher, and what she was butchering, she got loads of men's swords and just chopped them off, cut everyone's willies off, and she ate them. She ate them with mash, she ate them with buns, she made them these things at the time that weren't invented called Yorkshire puddings, which she then changed into this lovely cold dish called Toad in the Hole. And that's because she used to get people's swords and stick them up a hole and then eat them. Anyway, that wasn't enough to save Mrs. Up she went, which just brings us on to the last Toggaz player. Now this woman, this witch, she was hard done by because unfortunately she actually had won the league before. She thought she was immune to all this stuff, but no, she got special mention. She got burned all by herself. Now this woman was called Mrs. Gabe Lewis. Now she got a special spot right in front of the castle of Sunderland, which was called the Castle of Hell. It was where the devil himself resided. And if you look through Mrs. Gabe Lewis's eyes, you can see the Castle of Hell in the background there, right through. That was where Mrs. Gabe Lewis got to see her death. She was looking at the shitty Castle of Hell, and that's where she died. So there's your history lesson, boys and girls. Come and have a little look in. What's going to happen now is we're going to review game number 1. So let's go. So carrying on my pearls of wisdom for the boys, it was the fixture, Chudley Cannons versus the Sunny Money Happy Days. Bit of a whitewash for this one, boys. 132.75 for Drewer versus 50.5 for the Chudley Cannons. First bit of advice, that's kind of dog shit, that. 2-pack, not even 5 points per player. Couple of average players for the Chudley Cannons, all coming from Merseyside. We had Digner's dinner in Keane from Everton with River Trent from Liverpool, all putting in average performances. The standout player was Andy Townsend, first goal of the season. Horrid goal actually, always finish. But he was the only decent player. Had some kind of shit ones. His major shit one was Meg Ryan in net. Fucking -6, get rid of Meg. But a bit of short-term advice for 2-pack. I'd get rid of Ramsey, Lallana, Montreal, Knockout, definitely Meg Ryan. Just get rid of them as soon as you can, pal. They are dog shit. And I'd trade Firmino and Townsend. Firmino's not the guy he was the last 2 seasons. Cash in while you can, same with Townsend. Cash in while the price is high. And get some value, get some valuable players in there. Someone who's going to score you more than 5 points a week. And a bit of long-term advice for our Chudley 2-pack. 3 bits of advice, actually, 3 bits of pearls of wisdom here. First of all, don't make any more gash bets. It's bringing you down, pal. Real shit bets. Still dragging on, it's affecting your season. Second is reconsider doing everything that Tin says. It's not served you well the last couple of years, and it's definitely not serving you well. Don't let the fella bring you down. And third bit of advice would be just do your times for your crimes. I think this like shower of shit hanging out your heat from all this shit, squad freeze and shit betting. I'd just get on with it, pal. Do your times for your crimes. Everyone's a winner. Which brings us on to the Sunny Money Happy Days. And it's a lot more positive on this front because he had some alright players like Doherty and Sigurdsson, Steady Eddie's always going to be doing well. But some real standout performers was Arnie put in a solid performance, did Arnie, 27 points. But his main man with the sterling performance was Raheem. Raheem pulled in 45.5 points. I missed him from last season. He's just always sniffing around the box with assists, key passes, goals, shots on target. You name it, he's doing it. And them two set the platform for the rest of his tie. Them two alone beat Tupac. He didn't even need to field the other 9 players. His only shit player was Connor Foster's and Nets. And you can't blame Jura for that because they played Newcastle. Newcastle have been dog shit. Fortunately, he only scored 1.75, but never mind. His new headphones are shit. A little bit of short-term advice for Sane, Mane and his happy days would be to get rid of Brooks, Connor Foster's, Bowley, Lingard. Not worth hanging on to. Get rid of the deadwood, cut it off while you can. And a bit of trade advice, I'd get rid of Mkhitaryan, cash in while you still can get a little bit of value from him. Same with Doherty. Doherty's not going to be carrying on scoring so well. His stock is at its highest now. Get rid while you can, but. And the only long-term advice I can really give Jura, because he's doing well. In my experience, last season of winning every single thing I could have won, is first of all, keep on winning games. I always found the more games I won, the more chance I had of winning the league, and it worked. Keep up the anti-hot dog campaign. It's worked a treat this week. It really pied off Gabe and Tupac. And look, both them lost and you won. No coincidence. And the third bit of advice I'd give for old Jura is keep your feet on the ground. Mate, last season when I was clearing up, I had my feet firmly on the ground, positive mental attitude, real good, didn't get carried away, treat everyone with respect. That's what you gotta do, pal. It's the sign of the champs. Keep it up. So, at Scrotum Stranglers Park, we saw a tie between Gabe's Babes, the Strangton Stranglers, versus STP United. Now for the Stranglers and STP United, they put on a good show for the neutral. It went all the way down to the wire, did the tie, and they both put in solid performances, so hats off where hats are due off, no offence, Phil Ragg. The Stranglers had some solid performances from Pereira, Goodsies, Milners, Silvers, Salas, Sanchez. So as you can see, Gabe had a solid all-round game. A lot of players pulling in, some solid points. Compared to STP, who didn't pull in many players of all-rounders, just had like 2 or 3 bangers up front. So it was the bangers versus the solidsies, and it looks like it was the bangers that beat the solidsies. So Pedro was Gabe's main standout guy, but his real piece of shit was Tarkowski for Burnley. He was kind of shit. So again, going back to the pearls of wisdom, my bit of short-term advice for Gabe would be to get rid of Tarkowski. He's not the same player as he was, possibly not playing the same way Burnley this season. Tarkowski in the last couple of seasons would be always banging in 20-pointers, -6 this week. Get rid. I'd also get rid of Fernandinho. That guy is never ever scoring well. Odd 20-pointer when Man City are winning like 20-0, but other than that, fuck me, it just started fucking rain and gale. And I'll tell you who's also shit, because I witnessed him firsthand, I'd get rid of, is Delafeu. I watched him live this weekend and I'd get rid, mate. He couldn't hit a barn door with a banjo strapped to a cow's bell end. He's that bad. A bit of trade advice, I'd get rid of Dele Alli and I'd get rid of Pereira on trades, because I think Dele Alli will still hold some value even though he's not really pulling up trees this season. Pereira only because I fucking want him, been trying to get him all season, really want him in my team. And some long-term advice for Gabe, I think, moving forward, would be to, 1, keep on exploiting plops, because that is working a treat for Gabe so far this season. Keep on exploiting plops. I'd try and block out your disgusting Skyfall from season 1, because you had a real shit fall from grace from being the top of the league to a mid-season minger. So just try and block those negative thoughts out your skull. And a final bit of advice I'd say to Gabe to, try and win the league would be to see if he can squeeze a grape up your butt without breaking it. So take that advice as you will. So moving on to the Scranton Stranglers, the STP Uniteds. He had just 2 average performers, like solidsies, and that was Seri and Trippier. Trippier and Seri are both solid players, actually. You're normally going to get you around double figure marks. But he had 3 outstanding, and I mean outstanding, forward players. He had Richarlison with 27.5, Jimenez with 31.5, and my main man with a plan, Agsy, with 35.5. That strike force was nothing short of sexual STP, and that's what won you the tie, because the rest of your team was fairly below average, but them 3 done it. Aspilla Squirter was your shit piece of bunk with 0 points. And a bit of advice for STP, a bit of short-term advice. I'd get rid of Ryan Sessegnon, Bill Buana from West Ham, Albrighton, get rid of him. And a bit of trade advice, I'd trade Johnny while his stock is high. I don't think he'll carry on scoring well for Wolves this season. I'd get rid of Squirter. Squirtsies, again, he's a bit like Tarkovsky. He's not the same player, and he's not playing in the same system. This system doesn't suit him very well, so I'd cash in where you might get a little bit of value. And also the player who you already know, you've been trying to pie him off on everyone, thinking he's more valuable than he is. Get rid, on a trade, Kyle Walker, because you probably will get someone half decent for him, but he's not pulling up any trees for City this season. The only long-term advice I've got for STP is I'd keep Horrorpig on the managerial duties, because she's working a treat for you this season. I would try not to think too much about when you finish bottom of the league, because those negative vibes will start seeping into your team. Like, just try and forget that season when you knew absolutely dog shit about football. Just try and block them out, because listen, your lass knows loads about football, so have faith in her. And finally, the one bit of advice I'd have for you moving forward, STP, if you want to stay top of the league, is stop bashing your brand new car off other people's cars. It's not going to make you happy, and there's no benefit of doing it. Just stop scratching it, okay? So the next tie saw Colo Colo FC getting slashed, put to the pork sword by the mighty Bukaki Jackies. Colo Colo had some average players in Mendy, in Fraser, in Pogba, in Ozil, in Zaha. I think you're getting the picture. There was too many average performers. Steady Eddies, but not enough to raise the bar. I mean, his main performer was Sané, my old boy. And although he did pull in 27.5 points, 2 of those were assists, which weren't really assists. And he scored a good goal in fairness. But his piece of shit for the week was Laporte. He needs to start thinking, is he really worth it? He's taking up space in his team. City don't really have to defend that much, so he's not really going to win many aerials, many clearances, many interceptions. He's basically hoping he's going to be playing and getting a clean sheet, and that's it. But a bit of short-term advice for Colo. I would say get rid of Mata, I'd get rid of Lascelles, I'd get rid of Gundogan, and I'd get rid of Tosin. All them just chop off with their cocks, get rid of them on a free. Some trade advice, I'd say get rid of Lamella and get rid of Laporte, the 2 L's, LL Cool J. Mainly because of what I said. I mean, Laporte will probably get you a little bit of value because he plays for City, but he's not really going to be, a high point scorer. And Lamella's probably in his peak in terms of his transfer value, so get someone decent. A bit of long-term advice for Kolo, I'd say get rid of all those serial poop scoopers that I've just mentioned. Mata, serial poop scooper, never gets more than 10. Lascelles, serial poop scooper. Gundogan, how many times have I got to say Gundogan? It's everyone's scraping the barrel. And Tosin, he's literally hoping Tosin's going to change us around. He's not. He's tried, he's tested as being a piece of poop scoop. So get rid of the poop scoopers, Kolo. Another bit of advice I'd say, block out the seasonal skyfall. Everyone knows Kolo starts okay, gets around about Christmas, and then goes. He's done it the last 2 seasons. Kolo, get it out of your mind. Don't let it happen for a 3rd season in a row. And the final bit of advice for Kolo to be a success this season: send more dick pics. We haven't had enough Kolo dick pics. In fact, we've only had one. How are Kolo? Pull your finger out. So then Kolo was playing the Bukkake Jackies, who's in a bit of bad form, but managed to pull out a 147.75 this week. Real decent scores. Some average performers was debutant Patterson. Carl Kennedy also pulled in some average points, I think about 15. There was a load of real good scorers for the BJs though. Kane, Morata, all in the 20s. But the best star player was again Felipe Anderson. He is Felipe Mint. Don't know how I managed to pick him up so easily. He was probably going to be 6th or 7th in the draft. But he's going to be a good, solid scorer where he plays all season. Pellegrini likes to play him in a real advanced role. Bit of flair. My bit of poop this week was Ross Barkley. -1, although I'm kind of vexed at a lot of it because I watched him have successful crosses, key passes, all that, and it wasn't even flagged up, so you got -1. A bit of pearls of wisdom for the Bukkake Jackies, and for Toggaz in particular. I would say get rid of absolutely no one. Your team is the best and it's fantastic. I wouldn't get rid of anyone. However, when it comes to trades, looking at your team, I would trade absolutely no one because your team is fantastic, pal. Toggaz, keep it going because your team is only going one way. And that only way is up, baby, for Bukkake Jackies. But some long-term advice, I would say, Toggaz, if you have some confidence in your treble winning managerial abilities, you won every single competition that was put in front of you last season. Just apply the same formula and you'll win it again. Easy peasy. You do need to up your crack points though, Toggaz. Sitting around in mid-table is not good enough. Phelps and STP are soaring. You need to catch them up and I'd really recommend you do that. And the final bit of long-term advice, Toggaz, is just don't eat any grapes that Gabe offers you. Nice and simple.
Good evening, gents. Just soaking in the tub. With me candles on, rub-a-dub-dub, with me cuppa, doing the final review game of the week, which is Atletico Unpricked versus Piqué and De Bruyne. So Atletico Unpricked absolutely hammered old Plops. Took them to the cleaners. The average players for the old Atletico Unpricked were Alonso, Willian and Martial. Those 3 all scored, I would say around average scores they did. Tin's player of the week was Ben Chilwell. He picked up on a free a couple of weeks ago. Well done, Tin. He was in my waivers as well. I had a little waiver issue this weekend, but I'd rather not talk about it. And Tin's captain shit this week was Fabinho. Fudge knows why. Still got Fudge in his team. But anyway, so getting back to these pearls of wisdom, which I'm dishing out for free this week, we have a bit of short term for Tin. So a bit of short term to get rid of Tin. I'll get rid of Fabinho, I'd get rid of Kovacic, I'd get rid of Giroud, I'd get rid of Lloris. And I mean, gosh knows why you've still got Fabinho. You've had him in from the start. He must have scored you a combined -6 points. He is so shit. Mate, get rid. That's some free advice right there. I'd trade Lukaku and Martial for the two reasons I've pointed out in the other games. Mate, you might still get a little bit of value for Lukaku, but that guy is so bad, it's unbelievable. He's so shit. Even Mourinho's swallowed humble, hairy pie and dropped him. Pretend that he's injured. Don't even think he's playing the night. Martial, I'd cash in him while the price is hot. Sure, he scored 4 or 5 in the last 4 or 5. You'd probably get someone decent for him. Props will probably fucking trade you KDB or something for him. A bit of long-term advice for Tin. I'd get your mojo back, pal. This time last season, you were like Austin Powers. You were on fire. But you've lost your mojo. I would say that was your prime piece of advice to get back. Second bit of advice, I'd just do your videos and stop feeling sorry for yourself. It's been going on too long now. It's going to get to a point where you're going to start using it as an excuse. So I'd just get in there, get your videos done, get a load of crack points and we'll move on. And finally, I think you just need to ooze some positive crack. Ooze it out of your system. Like, I would say, don't waste whiskey cooking in the kitchen. Don't be a flash in the pan. However, you've picked up a couple of good victories. Let's keep it up. So don't be the whiskey in the kitchen. Moving on to KDB, our Plops captain crack over there. He had a few alright performers in the end actually for being really shit. He had Neves, Ndidi and Lacazette who all pulled in decent points, especially for Plops. His star man was Wilson. With 18 points. He's on fire at the minute as well. He's decent. He's a piece of shit. Now, we had a lot of pieces of shit to choose from, but I've went for Pereira for Watford, and it's mainly because I watched him first hand as well, and the fella scored 7 dispossessions. That's how shit he was. Imagine getting dispossessed 7 times in one game. There was actually 2 players who scored worse than him, and the Southampton defender and Fabianski were both worse than him. But I'm giving him his shit performer of the week as Pereira, because I watched him live literally fall apart. A bit of short-term advice for Plops. I'd get rid of Stankovic, I'd get rid of Stevens, I'd get rid of Fabianski, I'd get rid of Lovren, I'd get rid of Murray, I'd get rid of Son. You're getting the picture. I'd get rid of most of Plops' team. But he has got a little bit of value to trade in, and I would trade in on KDB, because he's basically going to have had him for missing half a season. And Plops needs to pick up points short-term. Get KDB, you'll probably get someone decent. Probably get someone like Martial for KDB. And I'd get rid of Pereira after watching him first hand. You might get a half-decent midfielder for him. A bit of long-term advice for Plops is mainly utilise your waiver priority. Some of you will remember, and that's a long way back and you won't quite believe it, but I was actually bottom of the league at Christmas in season 1, and I nearly won the league, coming from bottom all the way to the top, and everyone knows I should have won. Obviously it wasn't the Pogba gate, but there is a real good way. If you're bottom at Christmas, you pick up all the January free transfers and you can real prime the league, Plops. So really utilise your waiver priority while you've got it. Second one, I'd get a sexy logo, mate. You're the only one without a logo. Get a real sexy one, like a one that when you walk in the room you get a massive boner and there's like spaff dribbling out the end of your knob. I'd get one of them logos like I've got. Honestly, it works a treat. And your final bit of advice is a kind of simple one. Stop playing players that are fucking benched. Mate, the best you're going to do is going to come on for 10 minutes and get a couple of dribbles, man. However, you're spaffing yourself in the ass with that shit. As a seasoned pro, I'm telling you, don't play benched players unless he's like Aguero versus fucking Newcastle and he always scores against you and you always know like even 5 minutes to go. He could do the business. So other than that, lads, peace out A-Town.
So basically, just to summarise, Tinny, some advice, don't forget to do your time when you lose your bet. And 2-pack the same, it guns for you, unless you fancy squeezing dog poo. Gabe, don't exploit poor old props, it's not very nice, so here it stops. Jurors on the rise, but watch your back, cause I'm chomping at your chode and you're sacking your crack. Colo needs to clear out his heap of crap, or we'll call him Tube as he minds the gap. A little heads up for Steve the Perv, it won't be long till you get what you deserve. Props, let me tell you how to make things right, just clean out your team, it's a heap of shite. Toggaz better than fantasy football. Toggaz better than fantasy football. Toggaz better than fantasy football. Yeah!